And then adding, we have two whole circles or groups that are broken into 3 pieces. 2 times 3 is really 6, so we have 6 pieces plus 2 more gives us 8 pieces, 8/3, so those are really the same. So if we find the reciprocal of 8/3, it would be 3/8. And last, 4 1/2. 4 wholes that are broken into half, that would be 8 pieces. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 1 more is 9. So we have 9 halves, or 9/2. And the reciprocal of that would be flipping it, 2/9. So that's a skill that we will need for when we divide fractions. So when we divide fractions, we are multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So we keep the first fraction the same. That's our saying here, keep it. Our second fraction we need to change. Keep, change, and then our keep, change, flip. Keep, flip, change. Doesn't matter what order you say it. Our first fraction stays the same. Our second fraction we're flipping, we're taking the reciprocal, and we're changing the division to multiplication. And if you really want to know why that is, you can ask me and I can explain it. But the easiest way to explain how to divide fractions is to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're keeping 5/9. We're flipping our second fraction. 2/3 becomes 3/2. And then change your division to multiplication. A lot of you like to think of or have used in the past KFC. Keep, flip, and change. So what that means is keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, and change the sign in the middle. If you use these words, keep, flip, change, you go in that order. Keep, flip, and change in the middle. Some people like to say keep, change, flip, so you go in the order that it is saying. Keep, change, flip. Either way, keep the first fraction the same. You should be just fine. Before I multiply, I'm going to simplify 9 and 3. I can divide those both by 3. That will give us now 5/3 times 1/2. Remember, we can simplify our fractions by dividing. Oops, that looks a little funny there. Divided by 3. So on the top, 5 times 1 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6. So our answer is 5/6. Our next one, keep, flip, and change. Keep the first one, 5/6. Flip the second fraction, 7/9. It becomes, oops, doesn't stay 7/9. It becomes 9/7. And then change the division to multiplication. Again, I'm going to simplify first. The 9 and the 6 both go into 3. So I'm going to divide those by 3. I'm just looking at simplifying so we don't get really big numbers. So we really have 5/6 divided by 3 is 2. Times 9 divided by 3 is 3/7. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 7 is 14. So my answer is 15/14. That's an improper fraction where our bigger number is on the top. So we need to think how many times does 14 go into 15? Well, 1 time. And how many pieces are left over? We'd have 1 piece left over. So 1 and 1/14. Let's take a look at a word problem. It says, your sister Shauna had a sweet 16 birthday cake. She took 3/4 of her cake to school and left the rest for you and your friends. You have 3 friends come over. How much of the cake will you get? So first, 3/4 of the cake went to school. So I'm going to divide this into fourths. And 3 of those pieces, 3 of the 4, went to school. So this much of the cake was gone, and there was that much left over at home. Now it says you have 3 friends come over. So if here's you, and you have 3 friends, 1, 2, 3, here's your friends, here's you, How many people is that total, you guys? A lot of you are going to say 3 if you just look at this and see 3. But you and your 3 friends, that's a total of 4 people. So we're dividing this last chunk into 4 so that each of you gets a piece. So how much of the cake will you get? Well, if you eat this one piece here of the original cake, how many pieces were there of that size? Well, if we divide this all the way across, there were really 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. That gave us 16 pieces total. You're eating 1 piece out of 16. Even though this part went to school, that was a part of our original cake. So you will get 1/16 of the cake. Let's practice dividing a little bit more. Remember, we are multiplying by the reciprocal. Keep, flip, and change in the middle. So 4/5, we keep that as 4/5. Divided by, that becomes a multiplied by, and instead of 2/1 as a fraction, it becomes 1/2. So if, for example, you multiplied straight across, 4 and 5 times 2 is 10, without simplifying, now you just have to simplify in the end. 4/10, I can divide them both by 2, and we will get 2/5, or 2/5. We could have simplified the 4 and the 2 right away. Next, we have an improper, or we have a mixed number. We need to change it to an improper fraction. So 5 whole circles that are in 3 pieces. 5 times 3 is 12 pieces. Not 12, goodness. 5 times 3 is 15 pieces. Plus 2 more is 17. So we really have 17 thirds. And then instead of multiplying, we're dividing. I just said that backwards. I'm struggling today. Instead of dividing, we're multiplying. And then our last fraction we need to flip. Find the reciprocal of 3/5, which is 5/3. We can't simplify in this. 5 and 3 and 7 and 3 don't really simplify. So multiply straight across. The bottom's a little bit easier. 3 times 3 is 9. But 17 times 5, I would use my multiplication to figure that one out. So I would find 17, find 5, and follow them. We get 85. So now this is our answer. However, we need to simplify that. So I'm going to find 9 on my multiplication table and follow it down to figure out how many times does 9 go into 85. Well, 9 times 9 I know is going to give me 81. So it can go in 9 whole times, so that's 81 pieces. So there are 4 left over. So 9 and 4 9ths. Alright, next we have 2 mixed numbers we need to change to improper fractions before we can do anything. 8 times 4 gives us 32. 32 plus 3 more is 35. 35 fourths. Divided by, I'm just going to write this out first, 8 times 2 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21, so we have 21/8. So we need to simplify if we can first. Well, first we need to actually write this as a correct, instead of using division, using multiplication. So keep the first fraction, 35/4. And now we're multiplying by the reciprocal. Instead of 21/8, we have 8/21. So now we can simplify. 8 and 4 are both multiples of 4, so I'm going to divide those by 4. 35 and 21 are actually both multiples of 7. So we can simplify all of these parts, all 4 chunks. 35 divided by 7 is 5. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 21 divided by 7 is 3. These look like a lot better numbers now to multiply. Now, if you didn't know to simplify this, that's okay. You can simplify at the end. It just might be more challenging or more steps. So if we multiply straight across, 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 3 is 3. So as an improper fraction, our answer is 10 thirds. But as a mixed number, 3 goes into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. We have one piece left over. That would be 3 and 1/3. All right, last one on this page. This isn't a fraction. We need to make it a fraction. Keep, change, flip. So keep 2/3. Change this to multiplication and flip the last fraction, 1/4. Or keep, flip, change, whatever you want to say. And multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, these are both even numbers, so I can simplify even more, which is because I forgot to simplify right away. If you simplify right away, it'll be a lot easier. I can divide by 2, and we have 1/6. We have a couple more left. This one here, we need to actually evaluate, but we need to plug in what is x and what is y. So we have x divided by y. X is 5/6 divided by y, which is 2/3. So using our keep, flip, change, flip, we are keeping the 5/6, changing the division to multiplication, and finding the reciprocal of 2/3, flipping it and making it 3/2. So we can simplify the 3 and the 6 by dividing by 3. 5 and 2 we cannot simplify. So we have 5/2 times 1/2, which leaves us 5, and 2 times 2 is 4. 5/4, or if we change that to a mixed number, 4 goes into 5 one time, and we have one piece left over, 1 and 1/4. Now we're going to do the same thing, but y first. Y is 2/3 divided by 5/6. So keep, change, flip, 2/3. Now we're multiplying by 6/5. Again, I can divide both of these by 3. So we have 2/1 times 2/5. So multiplying straight across, we get 4/5, 4/5. All right, these last two I would like for you to try on your own, and then click play to see if you got them right.